My name is Paul Dignan and I'm a government strategy and outcomes specialist. And I'm in the business of reinventing the way that governments do their planning. Because a government is like a huge aircraft carrier. It's a massive enterprise with public servants, thousands and thousands of them, and then outside of that, non-profits and for-profits that are contracted to make things happen on the ground. The way it works at the moment is that the ministers and prime ministers sit at the top and start pulling the levers to make that aircraft carrier go the way they want it to go. But often they find there's a lot of slack in what happens. It doesn't actually go as fast as they want in the direction they want. And the reason for this is that their original vision, which is clear in their heads, their original vision is distributed over multiple discussions. Documents like things called letters of expectation, many presentations, strategy documents called statements of intent or 4-year plans, and the very detailed outputs documentation, which is required for accountability purposes. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a detailed documentation, but what's needed is a way of articulating, an authoritative way of articulating the overall plan. So I'm a psychologist originally, and I see it as kind of simple. Basically, we want to extract from the Prime Minister and Minister's heads the model of what they're trying to achieve. And we've figured out a way of doing that, a visual strategy model, which we've got a set of rules for drawing them. And this model articulates and is fit for purpose for each stage in the planning process. So the way the world would work if I was running it would be that the Minister and Prime Ministers would have a model, one of these visual strategy models, and we've built hundreds and hundreds of them, would have one of them for each government agency and for their overall strategies. So if they're focused on a particular department or ministry, for instance, the minister will take the visual strategy model of that department and they'll say, look, what I want to talk about today, these 4 or 5 boxes, they're priorities for me. Tell me how your activity is focused on those boxes. Tell me how you're going to be measuring what's happening in regard to those boxes, and show me how you're going to be talking about impact. What this means is there's one authoritative model which represents the strategy. So anyone at any level, whether it's in the public service or in providers or whatever, can say, this is what we're meant to be doing. Clear priorities, clearly can see that there's alignment, and anyone can check. They can say, that box is a priority, are you doing it? Or that box is not a priority. You don't need to have so much focus on it. So it provides this one authoritative location for that model, rather than the current situation where the model is distributed across many documents and there's no actual authoritative place that you point to say, this is the government strategy. It's as simple as that. It's not complicated. It's really just providing that single model of strategy, which then can flow through and be used for various purposes in the planning and implementation process. If you'd like to talk about this further, just get back in touch. It's all set out on this webpage as to how you could go about doing this, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much.